All right, what's going on, everybody? We're gonna try out a new streaming system here. This is I guess Restream. I've tried it before. I wasn't really happy with it before, uh, and I don't think I'm happy with it now. It's been like 5 minutes, and I'm already not happy with this thing. Um, it lists my name as Restream IO, but if this is your first time here, yeah, we try new things around here. So tonight, if everything goes well, we're going to have the resident Auburn fan expert, I guess is what you would call him, uh, Vernon Speak Sports. He's going to try to jump on around 9:30. He's a busy guy. His wife is knocking out some stuff with her podcast, so go check out his channel. Go check her out, her podcast, and support them if you would. Good people, but yeah. What's up, Eli James? Appreciate the compliment, sir. Really enjoy having you guys on the channel. You guys make this channel what it is. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have anything to do. I would be just talking to the corner. So, not that wouldn't be entertaining for me, but you guys you guys certainly make it better. Let's see who we got in here. TikTok Chesaw, what's up, buddy? Let's see. For some reason, I don't know why my name is Restream IO. I don't know how to change that because it seems ridiculous. I should even have to try to change that. Yeah. So I'm sure somebody's going, oh, so easy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It's not, it's not very intuitive. Plus I can't adjust the color. So I'm like super red. Which I guess is a good color to be this year, but yeah, annoying to say the least. So yeah, let's see what's going on. Jaden Stewart, Shadow, how you doing? Eric Johnson, 1994, what's up, buddy? Eli James, how's it going? Eric Wallace, welcome to the channel, sir. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. If it's your first time here, hit like, subscribe. If you guys aren't watching this live, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the bell because the bell is supposed to let you know when I go live, which it doesn't always do that because YouTube's awesome. What's going on, Derek Stevens? So I'm going to say what I always say. There's a lot of stuff to get into tonight. We're going to try and cover it all. We definitely want to talk about a little bit about the Georgia Auburn game. There's a lot of stats and a lot of statistics. Not going to make too much out of, not going to make a mountain out of a molehill. And I'm going to try and give, you said this picture looks good to you. You don't see any crazy coloring. Okay. Well, that works too. So, we're going to talk about the top 10. That way we give Vernon a chance to jump on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everybody a few more minutes to jump on. There was a lot of stuff that changed around this week based off of what happened last week. Man, there was some crazy stuff that happened. Florida, of course, losing to Kentucky. So I was watching that show live. So that was a lot of fun. But we definitely had a lot of moving around. Some teams jumped up 7 to 9 places depending on which team you were looking at. Some people have other teams flip-flopped around. I'm going to give you mine. So, yeah, we're going to give everybody a minute or two here more to jump on. Just Derek, Brett. Just Derek. Okay, Derek, Brett. Appreciate that. What's up, Brad Pitt? So just Derek, Brett, just Derek. That's a great name. So my name's Cole, Virgil Cole. Nice to meet you, Cole, Virgil Cole. For you Iron Eagle fans out there, if you remember that movie, you're older than you realize. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back to week 5, and let's talk about week 5. The top 10 that was listed in the AP poll. It had Alabama at number 1, Georgia number 2, Oregon number 3, Penn State number 4, Iowa number 5, Oklahoma number 6, Cincinnati number 2, Arkansas number 8, Notre Dame number 9, and Florida number 10. So there was certainly some changes some changes among the ranking. I was pretty honest up front. I know, Derek. I'm just giving you salmon. There was a lot of people that had Oregon at number 3, and I'm like, no, Oregon does not belong at number 3. That's not even close to being right. They need to get out. And they got beat. Knocking them back 5 places. Understandable. I don't think they should be ranked number 8. I think they're like maybe a top 10 team. Again, this year's been so crazy. It's kind of hard to nail everything down. So you're looking at Alabama, number 1, Georgia, number 2, Iowa, number 3, Penn State, number 4. I'm still not sold on that. I think Cincinnati should be ranked higher, just my opinion. Yeah, I get the whole Penn State versus Auburn thing, but I don't think Auburn should be ranked number 18 right now. I don't. Bo Nix is terrible. He's been terrible. This is their first-year head coach. I get Auburn's only lost 1 game to a ranked Penn State. So I guess what they're trying to say is that Auburn game, because it was as close as it was, then Penn State's number 4, but the gap is so big, even though the game was so close, that Auburn's ranked number 18. See, that doesn't make sense. There's no way that Penn State could be ranked number 4 and barely beat Auburn, and Auburn be ranked number 18. That's impossible, because there's no way that so you're gonna, basically what you're saying is that Penn State would beat every one of those teams in between 18 to 5 by a smaller margin. No, that it's illogical, inconceivable, even. So yeah, Oregon is a hoax. That is a fact, sir. That is, never fire Mullen for Georgia's benefit. Never fire Mullen just for the commentary. I'll never forget LSU as long as I live. How can a walk-on be better than 5-star Bo Nix? Because Bo Nix was overrated. Bo Nix never should have had a 5-star rating. He hasn't developed as a quarterback, in my opinion. I'm sure some Auburn fans are going to jump on here and tell me how good Bo Nix is. But Bo Nix looked pretty good, athletically speaking, in the last game he played in, because he was just running all over the place. But the fact is that Bo Nix shouldn't have to run around that much. That team's just falling apart. The Buckeyes did make quite a jump. I will give you that, sir. Good old cherry Pepsi. What's that? That's my daughter. She's going to her room. Oh, what's that? Yeah. What are you? Nice pants. Wonderful. What is going on, Salty Dog? We were just talking about how there's been some shenanigans. Ohio State jumped 4 places. I got to admit that I don't feel like a big having a win over Rutgers should not have jumped you 5 places. Is Rutgers bad? No, Rutgers is not bad, but it's Rutgers. They lost against Michigan. They lost against you guys. They only scored 17 points against Syracuse. Now, they did blow out Temple, did a good job against Delaware, but the 2 losses in a row, that should not have catapulted Ohio State 4 spots. That's just my opinion. I don't think Oklahoma should be ranked number 6. Oklahoma's in a terrible spot. I think, and I'm going to go ahead and pick that they lose to Texas. I think Texas is way more physical. Texas has found their quarterback. So Texas is going to be a bunch to deal with. They had a struggle win against Tulane. They blew out WCU. Had a struggle win against Nebraska, a struggle win against WVU, and a struggle win against K-State. Texas is finna come in there and mollywop Oklahoma, and it ain't going to be close. It ain't going to be close. And after this loss to Texas, Oklahoma is in real trouble. College football committee loves Clemson, Oklahoma, and Ohio State, and Notre Dame. They do. Yeah. So 4 places is bad. We should have jumped 5. No. Yeah. No more preseason rankings. Let them play it out for 2 months and then let's start the rankings. No, because you really have to do rankings from the beginning so that you get a feel. Because if you're just kind of looking around trying to gauge everybody all at the same time, it's extremely difficult. You do and you should base team strength off of returning, the kind of talent they have. Because if everybody started out on the playing field and you're just looking at wins and losses, you're going to look at teams like okay, let me see if I can pull it up here. Let me pull it up. So Tulane is 1-4, right? Their only win being over Morgue. They lost to Ole Miss, lost to UAB, lost to ECU, lost to Oklahoma. But you need to account for the fact that Tulane almost beat Oklahoma, and they held them. They were in 5 points. They were in 7 points of UAB. So, which Georgia beat like 56-0. So my point is that if you're not tracking this stuff early on, it's hard to keep a feel for it. Texas is going to monkey stomp OU. That's probably true. I feel like they got a chip on their shoulder, and they're absolutely going to play lights out. So, but that's just me. These rankings are just to hype the games up is all. That's not true, sir. That's not true. These rankings play a huge role in there's a financial side of this, and you may say to hype the games up to get fans invested in, but there's so much more to it than that. The rankings, when you track the statistics of these rankings, they're usually a pretty accurate representation. Once you get about midway through the season, you start getting a pretty accurate representation of what those teams really are. So when you get to the end of the season, even in the BCS era, you get to the end of the season, and you would have to pick 2 teams to play. It was based off of an opinion. So if you're not tracking that stuff, you don't know. Well, yes, they decide who goes to the playoffs, but it's an in-depth metric that helps correlate a lot of things. Not to mention it also can garner trips from recruits, to a team. Because when you say things like Georgia's consistently ranked in the top 10 every year for the past 10 years, at the end of the season, or however you want to say it, whether that stat's true or not, I don't know. Don't jump on me about that. I'm just making a for instance. So if Georgia is jumping in, and they say, hey, why don't you come play at Georgia? We consistently rank in the top 10 and we have a record of putting guys in the NFL. You would typically see that the higher ranked schools have a stronger percentage of the amount of players that go to pro. Some players come to Georgia not to just come to Georgia because they love Georgia. They come to Georgia because they see an opportunity to go pro. Do you think talent scouts are going to UAB all the time? Not really. I mean, they're going there, but they're not like they would an Alabama or Georgia game. Those players that come from your Georgias, your Alabamas, your LSUs, your Floridas, your Oklahomas, your Ohio States, those guys go high in the draft. Those guys make more money. And all of that comes off of that ranking system. If there was no ranking system, everybody would be like, well, Georgia went 7-0. Okay, Florida went 8-0. And then Georgia lost a game, and then Georgia won the rest of theirs. Well, Florida lost one and then won the rest of theirs. So who would be a better team? They end the season at the same ranking. Maybe 2 East teams was a bad analogy, but whatever. What?
They were fighting.
Uh-huh.
And Colton went, don't say that word.
Quiet.
Talking
to the cats. Telling the cats not to talk to each other like that. Hey, what's going on, Keith? How you doing, sir? So I'm going to throw this down in the chat here and see if anybody wants to jump in. We'll talk about the top 10 teams, just kind of what's going on with those. Oh, my goodness. It has been a long day. For those of you who don't know, tomorrow night I'm going to be doing the AAA show with D4 Sports over on his channel. And the name of that show is D4 Sports. Find him. It's all across America is what AAA stands for. It's talking about football teams. And then obviously I got to do the hype and hate video, and then we'll do, breakfast and all that other stuff on Saturday. What are you doing?
My cat has to use the bathroom, and she's she's scared because you're right there.
Oh, she'll get over it. I promise you, she got to go. She'll go. Nothing wrong with that. The college football committee's job is to rank these teams based on performance. There's a lot that goes into it. So, what happened? Did you want to change your name there? Are you good with that name, sir? I can't hear you, bud. I'm going to go ahead and add you to the stream here.
Hey, big dog, what's up, man?
What's going on, buddy?
No, I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Celine? Hey, Celine, I jumped in your stream for a little while tonight.
Let me see if this works.
Okay.
What's up, man?
Every team is. He said every team has played nobody, and every team that loses is overrated. Yeah, that's how it goes. Well, what you normally hear is like Georgia beat somebody and goes, oh, that team really wasn't any good anyway. It was like, who have they played? So we get that all the time. And I'm sure other fan bases do too. So, yeah.
You're right about that. Just every single time. Georgia ain't no good. 1980. I saw a meme friend posted on Facebook where it's a barbecue and there's skeletons wearing Georgia memorabilia and everything. I'm like, yeah, but what's Florida done?
Well, I think they've had some terrible coaches. They've had some good quarterbacks, and then they've had some more terrible coaching. So,
Hold on.
She gone.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Dan Mullen's a clown.
What's going on, Barry Anderson? What's up, Trenches? So, yeah. So, what's your thoughts on the top 10, man?
I'm snatching this so you can live stream.
I think Georgia's the best team in the nation, and Alabama has a legacy, and people are just writing the Alabama legacy. Well, I got bad news for the Alabama fan. Legacy over 2021. It's the year of the dog.
Celine Driver says, he says, 3 natties, 2, sir. Deal with your reality. Well, sir, actually, Celine, I like you a lot, so I'm going to be kind. Georgia actually has 5 national championships. There's 3 we don't claim that we could claim, but we don't claim, unlike some other teams out there. And while Florida does have 3 national championships, Georgia leads the all-time record against Florida. So I don't know what to tell you. You're so good, but we beat you all the time. What does that make us?
A better team.
That's right. Let's see. Barry Anderson says, hey, Brett, I don't think even Bama is scoring more than 14 against this defense. Well, that has yet to be seen. I'm sure that game will be played. I really thought that Ole Miss would do a much better job against Alabama than they did. They did a terrible job. They got out-coached. And Lane Kiffin goes in with this ridiculous idea that we're just going to go for it on 4th down every time. Barry Anderson is saying 1942 and 1980. There's a few others in there, sir. If you take a few minutes and go look, yeah, you'll find there's actually 3 others we could claim. Brett, it will be 4 of the last 5 in Jacksonville this year. 4 of the last 5. Seems to me that Georgia does a fine job of getting coaches fired down there, and it might be another one. But, yeah, you'll win this year, but until October 30th, 44-28. Hey, I don't care if it's 44-20 shoe. It doesn't matter to me, sir. I will say we have never lost a football game in such a dramatic manner. Never had that happen. So, yeah. Also, for those of you on the stream, I want you to know that Restream is giving me 3 out of 4 bars on connectivity. And my computer is hardwired into my router. It is literally 2 feet. Here, I'll turn it around and show you guys. Look. Let's see if I can turn it here without messing everything up too much. Turn it here. Look. Look, it is literally wired directly into my computer. And it says, you got bad connection, Bubba. I am not happy with this. I am not happy with this Restream program. It's terrible.
Hey, well, at least you won't call me. My last job was internet. So I was an IT person. So everybody, I call in, my internet sucks. And I was like, well, don't you have it plugged into the router and your wireless gateway? And they're like, yep. I'm like, well, dang, I'm going to have to try to upsell you a new package, and then you're going to cuss me out.
So while I was going to college, I worked for Bell South Technical Support, their DSL. And I can tell you right now, I had people calling all the time that it's like, I broke my cup holder. It's like, what? I broke my cup holder. What do you mean cup holder? That little button you push and it comes out and you set a CD on it and then you can put a cup on top of it. It broke off. What do I do? It ain't got nothing to do with your internet, man. You just broke your CD wrong. So Eli James, appreciate the super chat, sir. He says, super chat, $5. Appreciate it, sir. Georgia defense isn't just elite. They are straight up violent. Go Dogs. You know, he might be on to something there. The UGA's defense has been absolutely on fire, brutal even. I mean, just about to the point where we're body slamming people. Out of all the people on our schedule that's looking up at Georgia and the fact they got to play us, the ones that's left of the teams that's left, I can tell you right now, Georgia Tech has to be the most afraid. Georgia Tech has to be looking at this Georgia game going, there is no way we want to play this game.
If you thought Jeff Sims was a iffy quarterback Georgia Tech fan, we're gonna do to him what we did to DJ Uiagalelei.
Yeah, DJ
Uiagalelei.
Yeah, Uiagalelei is still sitting in the corner, rocking back and forth, talking to himself. That guy's having nightmares. Georgia broke that guy, and I've said it ever since that game. He's not been the same since. He's not, and he's never gonna be. It's pretty bad. Let's see what we got here. Oh, by the way, go Braves. Yes, sir. I sure wish Keith would join the show here and tell us about what's going on with the Braves. Keith is a huge Braves fan.
So am I. So double Keith Braves fan.
Oh, nice. It took me a second to put that together, and I was like, you're right. What's going on, Justin Farmer? There you go. Enjoy that, Derek. So I can take a joke, but I can give them too. So anyway, K5 says we had people faking COVID not to play us last year. Oh, that's terrible. Bulldog JC says Georgia has won 6 national championships: 1920, 1927, 1942, 46, 68, and 80, and only claimed 42 and 80. I didn't know about the 1921, but I knew about the others. What's going on, Tennille? Good to see you again. Hadn't seen you in a while. Of course, hadn't did a live show since last Saturday, so yeah. Celine, the kind of guy to talk about natties, but hasn't won his conference in over a decade. Baby steps, sir, baby steps. Wait a minute. That's not true. That's not true. I know that's not true. I know that Florida won Florida Gators division championships. I'm pretty sure they won, conference titles 2008. Oh, you're right, man. Now they won a division. Yeah, they won a division title last year, but not conference. Okay, you're right. You're right, Rob D. You're right, Rob D. Oh, yep. So let's see here. One more thing. Let me check something here.
You know what, Big Dog? I was born in 93, so I'm like 27. And when people bring up 1980, I said, I wasn't even born then.
Well, I was. I was actually born in 1980. But so when I see people say, most of the Georgia fans weren't alive the last time Georgia won a national championship. I can assure you most of the Georgia fans are. There's a lot of guys out there. Hey, look who we found over here. There he is. The illustrious Mr. Keith of the Car.
Hey, what's going on, man?
How you doing, sir?
Hello, fellow Keith.
What's up? Nice name, bro.
Same.
Neither one of you guys can take credit. You didn't name yourselves.
Mine was an inheritance, so.
Celine is my favorite Florida fan. But every time I hear Florida fan, I don't hear Florida fan anymore. All I hear is Florida man. And then a strong list of news articles starts popping in my head. There's almost nothing that you can't put behind Florida man and type in the Google search bar and it not come up with an incident. For instance, so I'm going to have somebody down in the chat put in just something not too crazy, but put something down in the comment section and I'll Google it. And we'll see if that's an actual news article. So it starts with Florida man and then 3 words. Let's see what we come up with. Bulldog
man, always up to no good.
Yeah, man. Like, for instance, this was an actual news article. Florida man assaults bookie with frying pan. That was a real article. Oh, by the way, I should say Florida player. I appreciate the super chat, sir. Shane M 1980 says, please pray for my LSU Tigers. Okay, so Megan put in Florida man with no arms stabs somebody. I don't know if we can get quite to that one, but let me see if I can come up with Florida man. I'm gonna put Florida handicap man stabs. Okay, here we go. Florida man found guilty of killing girlfriend. Florida man faces death penalty. Florida double murder suspect who acted as his own attorney. That's Florida man for you. Woo! They could come up with a new Maury Povich could be Florida man. They get that instead of Florida man.
I found one that's really interesting, Big Dog. A shirtless woman tries to rob stores with body spray.
Jeez, man. All right, so here's what we're going to do. This is a little sidetrack because the Florida game is coming up eventually. I'm going to look on, this is the New York Post, and I'm going to read my favorite 20 best or less Florida man headlines that made the meme what it is. You ready? Florida man arrested for calling 911 after kitten denied entry into strip club. They would not let the man take his cat into the strip club.
He just wanted some pussy before then.
I mean, I was gonna go there, but yeah.
Say that coming, but you know. Florida man once arrested drag queen with tiki torches runs for mayor. That is a real. Florida man trapped in an unlocked closet for 2 days. Florida man desperate for ride to Hooters calls 911. Florida man insists syringe pull from rectum aren't his. Oh, there's some really bad ones here. There's some here I can't read. Florida man arrested for trying to get an alligator drunk.
Hey, Celine, you ain't lying, man. I live in Atlanta, dude. We got some craziness going on here too, bro. I can't lie.
Oh yeah, it ain't just Florida.
We got, oh man. If you want a good laugh, dude, follow ATL Scoop on Instagram or I think they're on Twitter too.
You'll get some funny stuff on there. So the most recent one, and this is my favorite one. Florida man tries to evade arrest by cartwheeling away from cops.
Yeah. Hey man, work for Neo.
It's so crazy, dude. Oh, let's see who jumped in here. Huge oil spill on California coast. What's up, D4? For all you guys that are in here now, take a quick moment, hit the thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It helps the channel. It helps with the algorithm. Hit the bell, hit the subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Do it because you ain't doing nothing else. I'm just kidding. Florida man cuts genitals, just searched it. Oof. Yep. That's bad.
Ouch.
He's like, you want to see some scary stuff? Take a drive up around Jasper or Dahlonega. You don't have to do that. You can just come here. You'll see plenty of scary stuff. Florida man wishes his girlfriend was freak like Miss Mullen. That's the comment of the night so far right there, man. That's the comment of the night. Oh, I'm not a Nebraska fan anymore. I'm not a Kentucky fan anymore. I had to get that out of my system. So, all right, we kind of got off the rails here a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and post a link back in here. Hopefully, Vernon from Vernon Speaks Sports can join us soon. He's a resident college football member, a YouTuber who has his own channel, and he does pretty good over there. His channel is running about the same pace as mine, so it's growing and it's doing really well. So if you guys like, additional content, he does cover a lot of stuff. He has a unique perspective on a lot of things. Go check him out. All right, so as usual, Keith, if you want to go through the top 10 with me.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I already read them out earlier, but I'll do it again. Let me see if I can do it this way. I'm going to try and share my screen. Let's see how this works. You'll have to tell me. All right. Can you see my screen yet?
Not yet. Still see you.
Okay, here we go. Trying to pick out window. Chrome tab. That's what I want. There we go. Here we go. All right. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So we got Alabama, we got Georgia, Iowa, Penn State, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, and BYU. We're just going to go through the top 10s because I think after that it kind of gets wishy-washy, and it's kind of all over the place. There are a couple of teams I think are ranked way too high, and some I think are ranked way too low. I would probably push Texas closer to 10 rather than closer to 20. They absolutely look dominant right now, at least in my opinion. The way they're playing football looks really solid. But I'll let you start out.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to like to just focus on the top 10 because, like you said, after you get past that, kind of starts to get a little squirrely, especially this year. I mean, this year's been kind of wild with the parity. I mean, you really do. I know this, I know we're all Georgia homers, but this year has really been Alabama and Georgia than everybody else. So, I mean, this top five particularly is more akin to what we were kind of talking about last week, moving Iowa up, moving Penn State up. Cincinnati's kind of proved that they belong. I don't think, I don't know how many people were surprised with the Cincinnati Notre Dame game. I was not.
I wasn't either.
After what Notre Dame has showed against Florida State, and I mean they've been on the verge of dropping a game, and you just knew as soon as they played, somebody that could put together a game on them that they were going to drop a game. So I'm not mad at this top five. I mean, I think Oklahoma deserves to skid down like they have. The only thing that I probably would do is I would probably change Penn State and Cincinnati. I would put Cincinnati into 4. But I think that's kind of splitting hairs. I mean, I think this is, I kind of like where the top 10 sits right now. A lot of these teams still have a lot of games on the table to kind of, prove that they belong or that they don't belong. So, I guess I'm a believer of this top 10. I'm good with it.
I'm good with it for the most part. but there's a couple of changes I would make. I would move Cincinnati to 4.
Yeah, I'm good with that. That's the only change that I would probably, if I had not looked at this beforehand, I think I would probably have a very similar top 10, but I think I would have had Cincinnati above Penn State. But, Penn State is, they've been proving themselves
okay.
too. So, there's a lot of people that don't want to move Cincinnati up. And part of me wants, after what we've seen over the past couple of years, I know they lost to Georgia last year in a bowl game, but what we've seen the past couple of years, I want to put them in that top 4 spot.
I agree. I think that they've proven themselves. Now, granted, they're basically a week behind everybody else. They got to play, one more game, so they're kind of playing catch up. So I can understand a little bit of pushback from that point. But I was saying earlier, and I think this is probably before you got on, that I don't think you can put Auburn at 18 and put Penn State at 4 because Auburn should have and could have won that game.
Yeah.
And I think that pushed them way further down the list. You can't have Penn State at 4 and Auburn at 18. That doesn't make sense. I would push Penn State way further down. If you're going to leave Auburn at 18, you can't push Penn State that far up. You can't make me believe that the talent or the domination gap is what I'll call it between 4 and 18 should be that close.
Yeah, the Auburn Penn State game is really primarily, I think, why I would put Cincinnati ahead of Penn State.
Yeah.
I do think Penn State probably deserves to be in the top 5 just because of what we've seen so far out of everybody else. But I see what you're saying. Cincinnati's just had, they've looked impressive so far to me. So,
well, I'm gonna change gears a little bit here, and I'm gonna push Penn State from 5 to 6, but I'm gonna put Michigan in the 5 spot. Michigan has looked, just lights out to me.
I just subconsciously know they're going to drop that game they shouldn't drop. You just know that's coming. It's gonna come. Is this the year they beat Ohio State?
I think that, I don't know if we'll talk about Ohio State later, but this problem is going to solve itself because like week 8, I think it's week 8 or week 9, they play Penn State. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to play the Sparties, Michigan Sparties, which are ranked number 11 right now. But one of the things that I'm looking at for Michigan Wolverines is that their offense has played good at times. Their defense has played really good. So they've only allowed 17 points in one game, and every game under that less. So they've been really good, at least in my opinion. So I think the top 10 is okay the way it sits because everything's so kind of topsy-turvy right now. I would probably push Texas closer to the the 12 or 11 spot, maybe around. And I think Arkansas should still be closer to the top 10. And I think 13 is too far of a drop for them. I know Georgia dominated them, but they're going to have a great year this year.
Yeah, this is going to end up being a great year for college football. I think there has been already this year just a tremendous amount of ranked matchups.
Oh yeah,
we talk about Iowa and Penn State and switching them around, but they're fixing to play each other this weekend. Yeah. So it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen the other. We're going to find out which team deserves to be up there and which one doesn't. So this year is delivering some really great football games. And it's only halfway over.
Well, speaking of halfway things, we'll talk about Georgia's injury list here in just a few minutes. But one of the things I want to go through real quick, if you guys are up for it, is I want to talk about the schedule. So I'm going to get rid of this screen here. So we're going to go live. I got to change my screen one more time. And then we're going to go to, I got to go to Chrome tab. I think this one. I'm not a big fan of this layout, but I'm getting there. Okay. You guys see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, because I can make it bigger. Let's see if we can bump it up a little bit more. How's that?
Well,
there we go. So, tomorrow we got the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. And to be honest with you guys, this is a team that is kind of snuck into the top 15.
I did some evaluating at Coastal Carolina not too long ago, and I just don't know how they've crept up that like this. I just don't understand it.
Well, the thing that's really driven it, at least in my opinion, is that their last 2 games has been extremely dominant. 53-3 against UMass, which it's UMass, and then 59-6 against ULM, which it's ULM. But they're beating UMass and Ellis and the Citadel and KU and ULM just like a Power 5 school would. And I mean, they're doing it in dominant fashion. So I think the moment they play a real school, they're going to get the brakes beat off of them. But at least they're trying to give these guys some street cred, I guess is what you could call it.
Yeah, I mean, they went undefeated last year, and I mean, they played BYU and Louisiana as the Raging Cajuns, their only ranked teams, and they lost to Liberty in a bowl game, know, and so I get that you go undefeated, but again, the teams you're playing are, I mean, it's hard for me to make an argument. And so then you go back to 2019. It's like, okay, well, where did they kind of come from? 2019, you're looking at, this is a 7-loss team in 2019.
Yep.
And then so it's like, so they've come from nowhere to rank 15 in the polls just based off of what they did last year and so far this year. And I mean, they've literally beaten nobody. I mean, they've had decent seasons, but they have not played. They've not beaten a group of 5 team. I mean, a Power 5 team. So it's like they're not on the same. They're not the Cincinnati. Like, it's almost like they're being marketed as the Cincinnati of 2020 and 2019, and they're not, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not there, and so it's like I don't respect. I'm not a Coastal Carolina hater. I don't even know them. But I'm not a believer of them being ranked 15th in the country. There's absolutely no way that I believe that. I mean, I could probably pick 5 or 6 teams that are ranked below them that would beat them on any given Saturday. I would feel comfortable about betting that would beat them on any given Saturday.
Oh, I would pick, and as much as I dislike them, I would pick Auburn to beat them. I would pick Arkansas to beat them.
I think Kentucky would beat them. I think Ole Miss will beat them. I think Auburn would beat them. I think Wake Forest would beat them. Florida would beat them. I think every team ranked above them between 16 to 25 would beat them.
I think Arizona State would certainly beat them. North Carolina State, maybe. SMU, definitely.
So I
think it's more of a charity at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. They're the one team in the top 25 that is just an anomaly to me. I think you could probably look in the group of 5 and you could probably pick out a couple of teams that are just beating up on everybody else. But
you know what, Keith?
Should they be 15 in the country? I don't know.
You know what, Keith? I really don't understand like how these rankings work, because you have a Coastal Carolina who's 5-0 and they've won more games, but then you have Oregon underneath Ohio State, because Oregon beat Ohio State, so shouldn't they be ranked over Ohio State? I know we lost a really abysmal Stanford team is what is kind of like hesitation on the ranking, but I mean, I think it should be judged by who you beat. Yeah. And Ohio State's a really good team, and Oregon beat them. I just don't agree that Oregon should be behind Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard, in college football or in any sport when you start trying to apply like transitive property type things. I mean, the reality is that, Oregon did beat Ohio State, but then Oregon went on to lose to Stanford, and so of course Ohio State hasn't beaten anyone. So, I mean, you really get into the whole argument of the rankings being not necessarily what have you done for me lately, but it's more of a pedigree thing, right? It's a lot of these teams got their ranking and get the resistance of moving down the rankings because of what's on the side of their helmet, it really does. And so I don't really get wrapped up in the rankings until the playoff rankings come out, because I think that's really what matters. I mean, if you're not in the top 4, then you're not. I mean, especially what we've seen lately, you've seen the 5th ranked team in the country because they didn't quite make the top 4. They go and lay an egg in a bowl game because the kids just don't care.
Gave up.
Yeah, they don't
gave
care. If you're not in the top 4, I mean, certainly if you're a team that's on the up and up and you're trying to come up, like Arkansas this year, I can certainly expect them to have a pretty strong season, and then they're going to try to prove something in their bowl game. But I mean, if you're in Ohio State or you're hell, if you even look at Clemson this year, I mean, they're out of it already. I mean, they're going to be just out of it. Like the players are going to be checked out, and so
Hold on.
it really
Hold
is
on.
about that top 4.
Hold on, Keith. Barry Anderson's Coastal, the best team in the state of South Carolina.
Hey,
You ain't wrong.
I mean, according to the rankings, they are, right. I mean,
And according
ain't
to the
wrong.
wins and losses, I mean,
yeah. I mean,
the best team in South Carolina changes week to week depending on who's playing there
Hey.
from out of state.
do you think Coastal Carolina beats Clemson or beats South Carolina? Like, do you feel comfortable betting for Coastal Carolina to beat Clemson or beat South Carolina?
I would feel comfortable
And neither one of those teams are
betting
ranked.
them. I would feel comfortable with them against South Carolina, but probably not against Clemson.
I think either one of those games, if you put Coastal Carolina versus SC or Coastal Carolina versus Clemson, I think it's a pick 'em. Actually, I think it's that close because
Yeah.
Clemson hasn't impressed ever since Georgia put the fear of God into DJ Uiagalelei.
I
And-
agree.
He put
I
the fear of
agree.
dark.
I agree.
Spirit of
And
dark
But
in
we're
there.
talking about Coastal Carolina being the 15th ranked team in the country, and you're not comfortable picking them over Carolina, over Clemson or South Carolina. I mean,
Unranked teams. I agree.
They're overranked. Coastal Carolina is overranked.
All right, so let's move on here to Cincinnati. Cincinnati versus Temple. I don't know what the spread is on this. I can pull those numbers up.
Yeah.
I want to see what the spread is now.
I'm gonna guess it's like 16 or 17, 18. Maybe
I'm gonna guess it's 18. I haven't even pulled it up yet, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, I haven't
guess
pulled
You
it
know
up
what,
either.
Big Dog? All I want to say is Cincinnati, thank you. Thank you for giving us from all of us college fans to you, thank you for finally showing everybody how much of a fraud Notre Dame is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. So let me see. Oh my Lord. We got this one wrong, gentlemen. Cincinnati is a 29-point favorite. I got to be honest with you. That's a lot of points, guys. If I was betting this game, I would have to take Temple into points.
And you know what, Big Dog? Cincinnati's going to play against DeJuan Mathis, former UGA quarterback.
Well, DeJuan Mathis is terrible, so I'm okay with that.
He had a pretty good game last week.
Yeah.
But
should've
that's
stayed.
relative speaking, though.
If he wasn't going to play at Georgia, then he should have stayed at Temple. But yeah. Let's see here. Rest on the schedule here. Nobody cares. Well, Arizona State versus Stanford. Stanford coming off of a big win over Oregon. Not Oregon, but
I don't see them. I don't see that being a 29-point game.
I don't either. Arizona State here over Stanford. Arizona State's a 13-point favorite. I think that's about right. Arizona State could certainly run it up more than that. So, yeah.
Stanford's like the UNC of the Pac-12.
Oh, yeah. So then we got number 21 Texas versus Oklahoma. I have already told you guys my pick. I'm taking Texas. There's no reason in my mind not to take Texas on this.
So you think this is the point Oklahoma gets knocked off, because we're all waiting for it, right? I mean, I think everybody's waiting for it. This is the year that Oklahoma loses a game, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They've been flirting with disaster all year. So I think I got the line pulled up here. It's only 3.5.
Yeah.
which is in
Oklahoma.
Texas, so a 3.5 to OU. I mean, you're basically looking at a touchdown.
They're
Favor.
saying the over under 63. I'm going to take the over.
Oh yeah. I think they take the over on that too. But
Definitely taking the over. I think Texas walks away with this game.
really,
I think Oklahoma's going to finally see some real competition in their race. That Texas offense has just been brutal under Brennan. I just think that's what's going to happen. I think Texas has got it figured out. I think that when they got demolished by Arkansas, they took a good, hard, long look in the mirror and said, we got to change. And they did. And, man, they've looked really good ever since. So I'm taking Texas.
Oklahoma has to watch out for Bijan Robinson. That man's been on a tear, and he's been trending up in the Heisman votes.
Well, if I'm going to tell you right now, if Jordan Davis doesn't win the Heisman, it's rigged.
I agree with that.
Any man that can block 3 men on an SEC-sized defensive line, that's a grown man, son. Yeah. So, offensive line.
that'd be a hell of a note to see a defensive lineman win a Heisman, huh?
Yeah, I'd love to see it, but it won't never happen.
No.
I know, it's sad.
When's the last time a defensive person won the Heisman? Is it
Good
still
Lord.
Charles Woodson? Is that the last
Probably.
time? That would be an interesting stat to look up. I don't know that for sure, but he's the last person I can think of.
1997.
I know one thing. I don't
Woodson.
want
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
old Jordan Davis rushing me down.
I
He's
don't
the
want that
only-
guy. I don't
He's the
want that
only
guy.
defender that I've ever remembered winning a Heisman, like in my lifetime, that I can think of.
Well, I was really kind of surprised that Ndamukong Suh didn't win one either, as big
Right.
and as violent
Yeah,
as
he
much
just-
of a force as he was.
Yeah, he just played dirty. That's the only reason.
Yeah. He did
And
play
I think he
dirty.
played. Didn't he play? Seems like he played the same time. Was it one of the big quarterbacks? Was it Cam Newton or Tebow? Like he played in that era.
Colt McCoy.
I'm trying to remember. It seemed like he was like, yeah, there was like a couple of really good quarterbacks the years that he was
Yeah.
being dominant. And you know, the Heisman is historically a quarterback award.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, let's look at the next game here: Ohio State versus Maryland. Maryland is a weird team. You don't really know what you're going to get. There's been years they've beat Texas right out of the gate, and then there's been years that they've just been hot garbage. So I don't know on this one. I'm going to take Ohio. By the way, let me pull it up here.
yeah, people talking in chat. Jalen Carter's a beast. That dude. Yeah, he's something else.
It's gonna be bad. What happened to my? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so looking at Michigan State versus Rutgers. Michigan State's been looking pretty good. I'm going to take Rutgers. Don't care about that game. This is the game I want to see at noon. This is the noon game. I'm going to be flipping back and forth between the Texas-Oklahoma game and this game. Ole Miss and Arkansas. I don't think Lane Kiffin's going to go for it on 4th down with against Arkansas and Sam Pittman. This is going to be a big game for Arkansas. You're going to find out what their mental resolve is in this game, whether or not they're going to be able to bounce back after that drubbing from Georgia. I'm sure they've had a lot of conversations and soul searching. But what do you think, Keith? I'll let you figure out which Keith I'm talking to.
Yeah, I forget his name. Keith. Yeah, my bad. I mean, you know, I'm looking for Arkansas to bounce back here. I mean, it's the second road game for them in a row, and I'm sure, you know, the Ole Miss crowd is going to be, you know, ready for this game as well. But I mean, Lane Kiffin can't go into this game, you know, as willy-nilly as he was against Alabama, because I mean, Arkansas is going to bring the same. They're going to bring the same, you know, the same intensity on defense that they saw against Alabama. I mean, they don't quite have the, you know, obviously have the talent Alabama did, but I mean, you just can't play football like that. I'm not real sure what Lane Kiffin was trying to prove. I mean, early in that game, you know, they were kind of going back and forth there, and when he decided to go for it on 4th down at midfield, I mean, he essentially gave Alabama a 2-score lead, and they never looked back. And
Yeah,
it just felt like he was. It just felt like he threw the game in the first quarter. And I know
think
you
he
want to
threw
be
the game on
aggressive,
the
but
first drive.
yeah, I mean, you want to be aggressive, and I get it. And I know all the analytics, tell you to go for it, to go for 2 and to go for it on 4th down and to do all this and do all that. But I mean, I think those things are all contingent against you playing a team that doesn't play defense. I mean, if you play a team that plays defense, I mean, you can't turn the ball over on downs at midfield. I mean, you just can't do that and try to win the game.
I have a big concern though. I'm sorry, Big Dog, for cutting you off there.
No, you're good. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
But I have a big concern for Arkansas because Ole Miss does run the football more than they do passing. And that 3-3-5 defense that Sam Pittman has over there at Arkansas, we saw what Georgia did with its rotating running backs to that defense. Can Ole Miss do the same thing?
Well, keep in mind that they switched the defense throughout the game. They went 5-4, they went 4-5, they went 3-3-5, they went 7-man front. They could not stop Georgia's run game. They could not stop it. It didn't matter what they did. There were plays where they loaded the box, and Georgia just pushed the pile. Georgia pushed around for 4 quarters the biggest and strongest defensive line we've seen all year and made it look easy. That's absolutely debilitating as a defense when that happens. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, if you turn the ball over on downs, you have just fired up a defense. That defense is going to be fired up every time after that until you beat them decisively. So when you lose that 4th down, I don't care how much you've prepared your offense for that mindset. The defense on the other side of the ball, they just proved to you they can stop you. They just proved it, and they proved it to themselves. So I don't like that just for that reason. Like, you go 3 and out, fine, we'll punt the ball, we'll make you work the rest of the field.
And that's the thing. It's like, I know analytics tells you to go for it on 4th down, and you're going to get it, especially on 4th and short. You're going to get it more oftentimes than you don't. But what do you want though? Do you want to go for it on the opposing team's 40-yard line on 4th and 2 and get it, and then have another 4th and 1 and get it, and then kick a field goal and get 3 points? Or do you want to go for it on 4th and 2 at midfield and not get it, and the other team has to drive 10 yards and they kick a field goal?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or they make a 25, 30 yards drive and they're in the red zone. So, I mean, all the statistics will tell you that going for it on 4th and short, you have a higher chance of getting it, but that's not the entire picture. You have to look at the flip side of that is giving the ball back over to the other team. What field position are you giving them? Where are you leaving them on the field?
I think there's
at
a lot
midfield
that
in the first quarter, going for it on 4th down in midfield against Alabama of all people. I mean, you got to punt that ball and make them earn it. And if they earn it, then they beat you. But when you just give the ball to them at midfield, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball.
And when you have the opportunity to put points on the board when you're playing away, you have to do it.
Yeah. They gave up a chance to put 3 points on the board to try to score a touchdown, and it's like, on that first drive, they go for it on 4th down like 3 times, and end up and then on the third time they go, they get a turnover on downs. It's like, dude, just kick the field goal, man. At least take the early lead against Alabama and put the pressure on them to score.
I would be interested to see which I understand the statistics as they sit now, but I think that that statistic is an inaccurate litmus test for looking at how often you can make it on 4th down. Because if you're looking at going for it on 4th down and how often you get it on 4th down versus whenever the defense knows that you're going to go for it on every 4th down. So there's a difference there. That defense knows you're going to go for it on 4th down. It's going to change how they play on 3rd down. It's going to change how they play on 2nd down.
Certainly.
And then they don't have to ever worry about you punting the ball. So when you go for it on 4th down and they're not used to it, that's one thing. But when that's the game, that's the mindset, that's another one. On top of that, you look at how much harder you're asking your defense to work if you're going for it on fourth down at midfield and losing it.
Yeah.
You're not giving your defense room to work. So that, and for anybody who's ever watched football, I can say right now, mindset plays a big, big role. Depending on what your mindset is. I've seen teams look defeated going into the locker room, coach get in there and get them fired up, get them believing in themselves, and they come back out after halftime and rally. And you ask them, what did you change at halftime? Nothing. We just told them to pull their head out of their butt. I mean,
I definitely will. I think in today's college football, I think the best offenses beat out the best defenses. I think just the innovation that we've seen in offenses over the past 5 or 6 years is ahead of defenses right now. But you still cannot, in football in general, you can't turn the ball over at midfield in the first quarter and expect to win a football game, particularly when you're down a score. I mean, I would be
very interested in knowing what the percentage or what the comparison is between getting a turnover and scoring versus getting a turnover on downs and scoring.
Yeah.
And I would bet you those numbers are pretty similar, because when you get a turnover, I think it's some crazy percentage, like 75 to 80% of the time when you fumble the ball or you throw an interception, like 75 to 80% of the time the other team gets points off of that. I would wager that same thing when it's fourth and, when you get turnover on downs, I would wager that number is probably nearly that high.
Yeah, I mean, you just really put, you really just put yourself again behind the 8 ball when you play that loose. Like I'm all for playing loose, but you also got to play smart, man. And I think Lane Kiffin just really I like Lane Kiffin. Don't get me wrong. I think that story that they ran during the football game, I think is 100% true. I do think that Lane Kiffin it should be credited with bringing Alabama into the modern offensive football style, and he set them up, helped set them up for future success by helping them recruit top end receivers and quarterbacks. Because before Lane Kiffin was there, Alabama was a defensive school. They were winning that way, but as offenses have evolved, Lane Kiffin was there to help Alabama into that era, and it was timed perfectly. It was a perfect hire at a perfect time. I don't think they foresaw that. I think it just happened.
Yeah.
And and Alabama has benefited greatly from it. You look at just look at the receivers that Alabama has put out since Lane Kiffin has been there. I mean, you got Calvin Ridley and Devontae Smith. I mean, Mechie, all these guys. I mean, they're just it's ridiculous. And so I think Lane Kiffin is a great offensive mind. I think he really, really, really got caught up in wanting to be that first assistant protege or whatever to beat Alabama. It's like he cared more about that. Yeah. I get
I guarantee you the conversation was had with the athletic director that said, hey, look, we're going to try some wild stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the game was going to be closer than it was. I really did.
Well, I thought.
And I knew he was going to play that way.
I thought Ole Miss had a shot to win that game.
I did too. And I knew he was going to play that way. I knew he was going to go for it on fourth down. And I thought it was going to work. But I mean, there's a big difference between sitting on the couch and saying go for it on 4th and 2 than being on the sideline with the clipboard and Alabama's, Alabama's defense being out there and telling your guys to go for it.
Well, if you look at his pregame interviews and all this other stuff, he really had a lot more confidence in that game plan working than executing it. And I think after the first 2 times, Alabama quickly realized they're going to go for it on 4th down every time. We're not giving them anything. And when that happened, it was like lights.
I think Nick Saban found that out leading up to the game.
Yeah.
I think they just turned on the film. He goes, okay, because one of the interviews he did was like, when it's 3rd and 7, it's actually more like 3rd and 3.
3rd and 3, yeah.
3rd and 3.5 or something like that, yeah. So
yeah.
For me, watching that, I was like,
well, I mean,
if you're gonna have a secret weapon, keep it a secret.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first drive they did have some success. I think they went for it on 4th down twice and got it, and then they went and then they got then they got a turnover on downs on the third time they tried to do it, and then so it was like, okay, well let's just keep trying, and I just you just can't do that. I mean, you're playing against more talent when you're playing against a team that's more talented on the field than you are, and that's not a slight against Ole Miss. That's just kudos to Alabama. I mean, they're like Georgia. They don't have a shortage of talent out there. You just can't expect to keep going for it on fourth down and not get punished for it eventually.
Well, this is not East Mississippi Community College. This is Power 5 football. And you got to expect that just the mindset of it was a poor mindset. It was just that. I understand wanting to take a risk and wanting to try and find something to give yourself an advantage, but at a certain point, you should have realized, hey, we need to go ahead and take the points, get some points on the board. We'll feel good about this and just go, because there's a big difference between 3-7 and 0-7. And if you're constantly going, when you can get field goals, I mean, look at how many games Georgia has won off of Hot Rod's foot.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I will say, I see some people in the comments talking about Bo Nix. I really, really hope he doesn't expect to run against our defense the way he's been doing, because if that's the case, I don't think he finishes the game.
KJ Jefferson from Arkansas is probably one of the better dual threat quarterbacks, right under Bryce Young, in my opinion, in the entire SEC. And if that's what happened against Georgia, what happened to KFC that Georgia did to KJ Jefferson, if that happens against Bo Nix, which it probably will, watch out, Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, that dude has no regard for his body. And so I think he might end up paying for it this weekend if he's not careful.
So here's what I'm going to pull up for you. Let me pull this up for you. So KJ Jefferson, kind of a beast. Okay. You're talking about the quarterback here, and you're talking about two different quarterbacks and talking about their 40-yard dash time. I don't think that there is enough speed difference between. You can't make me believe that Bo Nix is going to blow KJ Jefferson out of the water. He's not going to just run off and leave him. When you're talking about guys like Jordan Davis that were running down from behind Jefferson, I can assure you Georgia is going to do. I think Arkansas had a much better offensive line than what we're going to see out of Auburn. And you look at how much they struggled. Auburn is going to walk through that line just like we did with everybody else, and it's going to be a bad day for Bo Nix. If Bo Nix tries to run, well, I don't know if you guys know this, but I just found out they've got Nakobe Dean and Lewis Seen locked in cages, throwing them raw meat, stabbing them with sharp sticks while wearing an Auburn jersey that says Bo Nix on it. If he tries to come around that corner, they're going to eat him for lunch. It's not even going to be pretty. He's going to get tattooed, and he's going to be out of the game. Georgia has no problem ragdolling a quarterback. Don't believe me? Ask KJ Jefferson. He'd come out of the game.
Or DJ Uiagalelei. Yeah. He's a dual threat quarterback too.
Yeah, now he's the dual threat because he's got two crutches, one in each hand. Just not a good tip. Just not good. Florida versus Vanderbilt, number 20 versus Vanderbilt. Florida destroys them. Auburn versus Georgia, that one in second.
Yeah, that Tennessee South Carolina game is interesting. I mean, basically, two new, kind of new coaching staffs going at it. Then you add to what Tennessee just did to Missouri. I mean, what in the world, bro? Where'd that come from?
Well, that's that one time of the year that Missouri implodes on itself, and that one time of year that Tennessee has a really good game, and they just happen to happen at the same time.
So it makes you wonder. Like, I think that's I think that was an interesting one to kind of judge a trajectory on, because I mean, these two teams are kind of vying for the same slot in the SEC East, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Like third place.
Yeah, like that that third tier team. You know, I mean, I put
Yeah.
Georgia at the top, and then you got the the Florida,
Florida.
and what's trying to be Arkansas and what's trying to be Kentucky right now, and then Tennessee and South Carolina are trying to get back up there. So I think this is if I'm a fan of either one of these teams, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at differentiating myself from the other one.
Right.
I really think Tennessee's coming there with a chip on their shoulder because they're looking to become the champions of a city named Columbia, and I think South Carolina needs to be careful because Tennessee is looking to propel themselves off.
No, we lose them.
We lost you, Keith.
Yeah, I think Tennessee wins the game.
Of that momentous win against.
Yeah.
Hey Keith, you're breaking up really bad, dude. So we're gonna go ahead and ask you to drop off here before it gets super bad.
Yeah, it breaks off a little bit there. I might have stuttered there too, so that didn't help matters. But yeah, I need to go anyway. Thanks for having me on, Big Dog.
Oh, no worries, man. Anytime.
And good talking to you, Keith.
Yeah,
Keith,
man.
great
Yes,
name.
sir.
I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, bud.
All right.
Take it easy, man.
Thanks, Keith. Have a good one, brother. All right, so Tennessee has looked a lot better than what people have given them credit for. They had a loss against Florida. The offense has been up and down, literally up and down. So they beat BGSU solidly. They beat Tennessee TC, which I think is Technical College, 56-0. Then they lost to Florida. They come out with their hair on fire against Missouri. Just played lights out. Offense looked great. Defense looked okay. But then they play South Carolina. I think Tennessee's going to win this game, but
I think so too.
Closer than what people realize. I'm going to pick Tennessee like 35. Put South Carolina at like 31 or something. That would be
and then Tennessee, man. Oh, the gauntlet they have to run after that. When Ole Miss, Alabama, Kentucky, Georgia. Oh boy. I mean,
it's like you're gonna feel pretty good after that South Carolina game, and then you're gonna look up and go,
I mean, Tennessee,
literally 4 ranked teams in front of us.
I mean, Tennessee's schedule this year is just rough.
Well, I mean, their schedule had, I think Pitt was ranked at one point, wasn't they? Maybe not. So Florida was ranked and still is. Ole Miss is ranked. Obviously, Georgia and Alabama is ranked. Kentucky's ranked. They'll probably win the last 2 games of their season and they'll go bowling, but they've got to win this game. This game against South Carolina, they've got to win.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I was kind of getting at this. I think this game is. If I'm a fan of either one of these teams, I have this game circled on my calendar. I mean, this is I kind of have those teams in the same. They're kind of in the same pot, and one kind of wants to rise to the top,
Right. Well, I mean, and you turn around, you look at South Carolina. So South Carolina looked good against EIU. They barely beat the Pirates of ECU in the last second, however you want to look at it. They escaped that game with a win. Georgia drubbed them. This was a little weird to see Kentucky only score 16 points. So it showed me their defense kind of showed up in that game. Troy, they beat Troy 23-14. They're probably going to lose this game. Then they're going to beat Vanderbilt. Then they're going to lose to Texas A&M. They're going to lose to Florida. They might lose to Missouri. They're going to lose to Auburn. And then what a surprise it would be if they beat Clemson, right?
Yeah.
Have a losing season and beat Clemson. Shane Beamer's got his work cut out for him over there. Chris Heupel seems to be doing a much better job as a first-year coach. I would argue Tennessee has a way better talent sitting on the roster than what Muschamp left at South Carolina. So Muschamp did exactly what we wanted to do. He went over there. We let him win one game, and then he continued to implode that system over there, that program, and the effects are still being felt. So we're pretty happy about that. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. That was almost what I needed. Oh well. Let me go back and fix it again. So anyway, we'll just do it. Let's try that. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, so I'm in agreement with you. I think that's going to be a really interesting game to watch. So
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to watch anything this weekend, man. We're gonna be at Disney this weekend.
oh man, good stuff, dude.
Yeah, my first time, man. My first time.
Yeah, I've never been. My kids have been.
Yeah.
2 of my kids have been, but I haven't been.
Yeah, me nor the kids have been. So we're heading out Friday at lunchtime and coming back Tuesday. So
You know what? I got to admire your confidence, man. I got to admire your
What's that?
confidence. You're so confident Georgia's going to win the national championship. I'm just going to Disney.
yeah, I'm not even worried about it, dude. I picked Auburn weekend too because I figured that was probably the easiest game on the schedule to just miss. I didn't really want to.
So,
I didn't really want to bear witness to what's going to happen to Bo Nix, so I'm just going to read
It's gonna
about it
be-
afterwards.
You may read about it during. I'm gonna send you a text.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be on my phone the whole time Saturday. I got all the football and my Braves are playing Saturday too. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. Georgia's gonna demolish Auburn, but it'll be a good game. BYU versus Boise State. I'm not really interested. BYU should win. Wake Forest over Syracuse. Who would have guessed Wake Forest would have been ranked 19? I'm taking Syracuse. SMU versus Navy. I'm always going to pick the military school, so I'm going to pick Navy. I do want to see this game, though. I do want to watch parts of the Florida State versus North Carolina game.
yeah,
I think that could be interesting.
who wins the ACC, man? I'm thinking it's Wake Forest, right? I think they're the best team in the ACC.
It's got to be, right? It's got to be.
Yeah, I think they're. You know, I've heard a lot of people say they're full of the. You know, they have all the super seniors on their team, kind of like
Yep.
I think Arkansas had quite a few of them too. But
Yep.
You know, when you have the whole conference down, I think Wake Forest is putting some decent talent out there. So look for Wake Forest to win the ACC.
Yeah, I agree. I will say North Carolina is favored at 17.5, which is huge. Over under 64. I would take the under. And I think this game is going to be a little closer than what people think. I'm going to give Florida State a little bit of credit.
Yeah, I want to, but man, every time I start believing that Florida State is making a move, they just lay an egg, man. I don't know.
Is Chris and Patrick still Florida State fans, or have they given up yet?
Dude, I mean, yeah, they've checked out. They pretty much stopped watching football after they lost to Jacksonville State. So
Yeah, that was. So here's Florida State Seminoles record. You ready? Notre Dame, 41-38. Everybody thought this was actually a good loss. They thought for sure Notre Dame was going to do much better than they've done so far. But they said, okay, they're doing pretty good. Then they come back to Jacksonville State, lost by 3 points again. It was like, what in the world happened? And then they come out and play Wake Forest, and Wake Forest 35-14 blowout. Then they come back and they play Louisville 31-23. And then somehow they pull a miraculous win over Syracuse 33-30. Now North Carolina has looked good at times. They've looked bad at times. They lost their season opener and somehow managed to lose to Georgia Tech. But they shut Duke to 7 points. You know, they beat the fire out of Georgia State. They beat the fire out of UVA.
yeah,
I think that Florida is going to lose this game, but I think it's going to be like a 35-40 game, or maybe a 28-35 game, something like that.
this is an interesting game because you know, there's a lot of Florida State fans that are really that are kind of sour towards Sam Howell because I think he was originally a Florida State commit and then when North Carolina hired names escaping me, their head coach.
Matt Brown.
Matt Brown, yeah. When they hired him, I think Sam Howell switched his commit over to North Carolina. So I mean, Florida State, and and if you know a little bit about Florida State, they one of the biggest problems that they've had is Jimbo kind of left them high and dry whenever he decided he was ready to leave. He kind of didn't recruit anybody for the last 2 years he was there. So they didn't have a quarterback recruit, and then under Willie Taggart, they did not recruit a quarterback. So not only do they not have an offensive line, they don't have a quarterback to put behind it. And they went out and got Mackenzie Wilson from UCF. They thought that was going to be the person that was going to carry him through this year. Not quite, and so they've kind of been left high and dry from the quarterback perspective. And then you got Sam Howell over here in North Carolina, who's, for all for everything that we've seen, he's pretty good. And he was, he was a Florida State commit, and and kind of switched his commit at the last moment. So I mean, there's a little bit of, if you're fans of these teams, there's a little bit of rub there. So
it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and jump down to the 4:00 game here. I do want to point out tickets as low as $250.
Are these guys in the SEC?
What's happening here? So
we used to play in them prices for good football. 3 versus 4 in the SEC, you're gonna be paying $500 to sit in that game.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be paying way more than $250. Listen, tickets for the Arkansas game was pretty substantial. By the way, crowd absolutely electric, loudest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
At one point, they had it on the scoreboard. It was 117 decibel. For those of you who don't know how loud that is just three tiny little decibels below what it's like to stand next to a ambulance siren at full blast.
Yeah. And I don't know if anybody listens to Dog Nation Daily. Brandon Adams, he pointed out a great thing that I actually noticed during the game. If you go back and watch that first drive when Arkansas got the 2 false start penalties, they did not commentate during that part. They kind of just let you, as like when I was sitting on the couch watching the game, they just kind of sat there and let you hear the crowd. Like they let the false start penalty happen. Like they kind of just let the crowd noise commentate on its own. And that was fantastic. They did a great job with that. And then, you could hear Herbstreit kind of chime in and said that this atmosphere is intimidating for Arkansas. And it's just, they basically don't know what to do. They can't, they started their drive in front of the student section in Stanford Stadium, and they could not hear anything.
Yeah, I will tell you from being there, from the moment that they got the ball, because Georgia started out with the ball. We went down very methodical drive, looked very good. I see your comment, Jeff. I'll get to it in a minute. When they got the ball, I was there, and I'm like, I always lose my voice at games. By the time I get to the end of the game, I have no voice left. So I'm gonna wait. And then I'm gonna do my screaming and hollering in 3rd and 4th quarter. Right? That was the plan. Wrong. When that play started, everybody was on their feet. Everybody was yelling. There may have been 3,000 Arkansas fans there. That place was absolutely smack full.
Yeah.
And I cannot imagine for 1 second that a noon game would have a sellout crowd and be that loud. Everybody there was in it, and it was crazy loud. You could feel the ground shake under you. You could feel the stadium shake. It was so loud. And I'm up in the stands, and it's not all this stuff that's coming at me. I can't imagine being on that field where that's coming at you 360 degrees. That was intense. But yeah, so that was the loudest game I've ever been to. I've been to the racetracks that weren't that loud.
Yeah.
So, but let's get back to talking about Iowa versus Penn State here. For the low of 250, you can go see Iowa play Penn State. Now, the line on this is Iowa is favored by 1.5 points. This is the closest line I've ever seen. Especially with two top 5 schools. This is the second time this season we've had two top 5 schools matched up together. Is this the game where College Game Day is going to be?
I think so. I haven't really kept up with it because, again, I'm not going to be able to watch games this week, so I haven't looked to see where they're going to be. But, I mean, I can't imagine they would be anywhere else other than this. So.
I'm going to put College Game Day. Let's see. College Game Day announced a surprising Week 6 destination. It was in Athens. Oh, they're going to be in Dallas at the Red River Showdown. Yeah, they're going to miss out on a good one. Pastor Dave says, I will beat the brakes off of Penn State. I don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see. Penn State's been shown to be pretty resourceful. I'm with you. I've been high on Iowa all season. I'm taking Iowa. I called Iowa early, and I'm going to take credit for it all season until they lose. So, yeah, they look really good. They're gritty. They're a really gritty football team. I got a friend of mine who's an Iowa fan. And this year, I told him, like, this year might be the year. Somebody said that Stetson Bennett was injured. What else is new? An injured quarterback at Georgia. There.
I mean,
it's a minor injury.
Defense so rough that it's hurting our own players, man.
I'm telling you, boy, they don't take pity on nobody.
They're just trying to figure out a way to get Brock into the game, man.
He has a knee laceration. He cut his knee. Slap some Neosport on it and call it a day. Let's see. Big Dog Brett, Kentucky has to face the same noise. Oh, they will too. I guarantee that place will be slap loud. Definitely be loud. Georgia, every single game this season, Georgia. If you playing at Georgia, you playing in Athens, you're gonna feel it, because if they sold it out for a noon game, and here's what I'll say: when you see the fans show up like that, that means when Kirby Smart asked the fans to show up and then they show up like that, that means the fans are invested. They're paying attention and they're willing to come out. I left my house at 7:30 and I had to go pick up a friend, take him to the game, park, walk to the game. There were people that were like, man, I really wish it was like a 3:30 game. Would have been a lot more people here. If there had been any more people there, I don't know, you could have moved. That place was just crazy, crazy awesome. All right, let's see. So who you got in this game, Keith? Who you got?
I mean, I'm taking Iowa. I like Iowa by a touchdown, honestly.
I'm with you on that. I'm actually going to do you one better. I'm going to go Iowa plus 10. That Iowa defense has been pretty substantial. They haven't allowed anybody to score more than 17 points, and that was Iowa State when they played them. Granted, Iowa State was ranked 9. They shut them down. This will be their third ranked opponent of the season. They played Indiana U, which is no longer ranked, 34-6, 27-17, 30-7, 24-14, and they played Maryland 51-14, and now they're going to play Penn State. Penn State, while they've had pretty good defense, their defense is not as good. So we've got a really good litmus test here. Here's the litmus test. So both Iowa and Penn State have both played Indiana. And Indiana went 24-0. Penn State shut them out. Iowa held them to 6, which is 2 field goals. So 34-6 versus 24-0. I'm more inclined to take the 34-6 team. They did beat Wisconsin when Wisconsin was ranked. They beat Ball 44-13. They beat Auburn 28-20, but they really should have lost that game. They beat Ville, which I don't know who that is, 38-17. So for me, I think Iowa is just a really, really grindy football team. I think that they just, for lack of a better way of saying, I think they just want it more. There's going to be people that's going to say I'm crazy, and that's fine. But here's what I'll point out to you. Iowa is doing this. They have their top rusher. Their top rusher right now is Tyler Goodson. Tyler Goodson is at 430 yards. He has 5 touchdowns already in the season. This guy, they're going to run right at you. Penn State, their offense is kind of even. Their run game, they kind of spread it around. They got like 3 running backs they use, but they really primarily pass it. I haven't really seen anybody be able to pass the ball that well against Iowa. And so I think that's really where the difference is going to show up. I think Iowa's going to be able to stop that pass. Penn State's not going to be able to run it. They really weren't able to run it, I don't think, too well against Auburn. I'm going to pull that up and double check it just to make sure I wasn't talking smack. But to me, you stop the pass game against a passing team, it's over. If they can't run the ball, they don't have a bully line like an Arkansas or a Georgia. It's going to be so crazy tough to win there. So I'm going to take Iowa and the 1.5 points. Pretty much if you win anything, you win, right? There was another team here I wanted to look at. What was it? UCF versus East Carolina. That game's of no longer of a concern. Michigan over Nebraska. Michigan by 15. Notre Dame over Virginia Tech. I'll take Notre Dame by 3 points. Kentucky versus
I think that game has the potential to be a little closer. I don't know what the line is on that, but it's Notre Dame by 1.
PK is what I got.
Yeah,
I'm going to take Virginia Tech by 3.
Look for this game to be another interesting Notre Dame game.
I wonder how well Notre Dame's going to be able to bounce back, though.
Yeah,
Virginia Tech has nothing to lose. I mean, they're 3-1. They barely beat the Citadel. They lost to West Virginia. They played the Rich Spiders or whatever that is, a Ticks. Captain, you just called me a tick? Yes, I did. So yeah, but I'm gonna take. I'm just because I don't like Notre Dame. I'm gonna take Virginia Tech plus 3. Let's see. Kentucky versus LSU. What you got on this one?
I mean, I think Kentucky continues to roll. I think Kentucky's going to roll into UGA undefeated.
I think you're right here. LSU.
I hope they do.
Loses to Auburn.
Another hype game in Athens. Good for it.
Oh yeah, I'm good with it. I think Georgia's going to absolutely destroy Kentucky. I think apparently there was a meme running around on TikTok or Instagram or something where the Kentucky fans were out there yelling, "We want Bama," and there was one guy saying, "No, we don't. No, we don't. You don't know what you're asking for. We do not want Bama."
I mean, there's
thanks. Yep. Hold on, Keith. Keith Shelley, really appreciate you joining the show, sir. Thank you for jumping on. We'll catch you next time, brother. Whoa. Dude, this is the troll statement. Oh, no. Wrong one. Hold on, where'd it go? Did he take it down? He took it down before I could click on it. Somebody posted. Oh, here it is. Read that for me, Keith.
That nasty feeling when Big Blue fans outnumber Georgia fans in their own stadium. Yeah, we'll see.
Tell me you don't know much about Georgia football without telling me you don't know much about Georgia football.
I can guarantee you that's not going to
happen. Sir, Georgia will travel cross country and buy out a stadium. Ask Notre Dame fans. Ask them.
If this game was in Kentucky, there'd be more Georgia fans there than Kentucky fans.
Absolutely. I've been to Georgia football games all over the country. And I can tell you right now, when I make the statement that the dogs travel well, I mean it. I couldn't get tickets to the Notre Dame game because they were ridiculously expensive, and Georgia still had 70% of the stadium.
Georgia fans they don't pay stupid prices for tickets. That's the only reason. We travel well because who can turn down $500 for you had Notre Dame fans being offered $500 for their tickets, and it's like, yeah, of course they're going to sell them. I mean, who wouldn't?
They were. No, this is the truth. This happened. I know because I had to cover it. Notre Dame radio stations, Notre Dame media outlets, Notre Dame newspapers, Notre Dame social media was telling Notre Dame fans to stop selling your tickets to Georgia fans because we're not going to be able to get enough Notre Dame fans in there as is. That's just the way it goes, man.
Yeah, they just.
I mean,
We got quite a few fans in our fan base that have deep pockets, apparently. So
yeah. So I think what it is that there's so many Georgia fans. There's so many more Georgia fans than there are Kentucky fans, and there's nobody in this country that will doubt that because you can go to Hawaii and you can walk into a hat store, and these are the football teams they're going to have: Georgia, Alabama, Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, and you can usually find like a
USC or something.
Southern Cal or UCLA in there. That's what you're going to find in those places. You'll find that in Omaha, Nebraska. You'll find it in Wichita, Kansas. You'll find it in Phoenix, Arizona. You'll find it in Jacksonville, Florida. You can go to any of those places. That stuff's going to Minneapolis.
You know where you can't find a Georgia hat?
Yeah.
In Atlanta.
Where's that?
Because they buy them up everywhere. Dude, I've been trying to the Braves do co-branded college football nights where they will give away the hat, and then they'll give away the hat at the game, and they do different college football teams in different games,
Yeah.
And then they end up selling the hats in the clubhouse store. And I have yet, and I go in there all the time, I have yet to find a Georgia Braves hat because they're just gone. They're as soon as they come out, they're gone. And I want one. So if anybody's got one, hit me up. I'll buy it from you.
Right? I mean, you can't even find them online, dude. That's crazy. I mean, I'd love to have one myself. I got me a Braves visor because I like visors, but
yeah,
it's hard to find that stuff. Man, we're rocking out kind of late tonight. All right, let's get to it. LSU, Kentucky. I'm taking Kentucky.
Yeah, I like Kentucky. Like I said, I want them to roll in. I want them to roll into Athens undefeated. So
yeah, Kentucky looks like Georgia used to, if that makes sense. You got a 45-10 game, and then you got a 20-12 game. You got a quarterback who's around 1,000 yards. You got a rusher who's over 600, and you got a receiver who's around 400. And you got some good guys on defense, right? So, kind of balanced, not dominating anybody, not looking bad, looking pretty decent. So you got some hope for your team. Like 45-10 against UL Monroe. Great. You beat up an unranked team. I mean, a non-Power 5 school. Then you play Missouri and you beat them by a touchdown. Okay. And then you got a running back who rushes for almost 200 yards. That's solid.
Yeah.
Then you play Chattanooga and you beat them 28-23. Okay, so you didn't have a great game. The rushing guy didn't do that great. He only had 46 yards. So they kind of stopped the run, and then you got pulled out, right? Then you play South Carolina. You beat them by 6 points. Your rusher was 144 yards. He looked good. The rest of the team fell down.
Yeah.
Then you beat Florida. You got 100 yards out of Rodriguez. And then you got 87 yards out of your receiver. So you got a 20-13 victory. That's how Georgia used to look. Now, I think Kentucky could win this game. I mean, I think Kentucky will win this game, but I'll go ahead and tell you, it's possible LSU wins this game.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't want LSU to win this game.
Yeah, I think Kentucky. I like Kentucky in the game. I think this is going to be a good one to keep an eye on, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kentucky just takes them behind the woodshed. But
I wouldn't either, but they haven't scored more than 35 points against an SEC opponent, and they haven't scored more than 20 against the past 2 SEC opponents, and only scored 16 against South Carolina. Their offense is their offense. If their offense gets behind early, they won't be able to catch up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kentucky historically has been one of those teams that's like they've relied on that one big guy, like the Benny Snells, guys like that. Even going back to Lorenzen, you always think of Kentucky as that one guy, So I don't know. I'm hoping just for the quality of football season that we have that that Kentucky wins and rolls into Athens as a top 15 team.
Yeah, because if they beat LSU, which they should, for them their big hurdles this season was Florida, Georgia, and now maybe possibly Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
So if they can get past LSU, they take one loss to Georgia and they run the rest of the table, they're going to be ranked in the top 10 at the end of the season, and that's going to make Georgia's resume look even better.
Yeah. I want to point out something. Pastor Dave says that Coach O will be fired if Kentucky wins. You know what's interesting about that, and I don't doubt that. But you look back at coaches that have won the national championship with just ridiculous, like, generational quarterbacks, right? You look, and they've either gotten fired or left soon after that. You look at Cam Newton with who was it? Malzahn?
Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, so he didn't last long after that. Urban Meyer didn't last long after Tebow.
Or Dak Prescott for Mullen.
And then you got
Fields.
And so you got Joe, and then Joe Burrows here with Coach O, you know. So it's like
Kind of the curse.
Yeah. And so you look at it, and I mean, look at Jimbo Fisher with Jameis Winston.
Right.
It was Chiswick. Yeah, Chiswick. That's what I was thinking. It was not Malzahn. It's before Malzahn. So you have that run of quarterbacks, and so you extrapolate that out, and Dabo. I mean, is he on the hot seat? I mean, you see this. You know, these generational quarterbacks come along and win for a school. And then when they're gone, the school kind of comes back to reality, and the coach is gone. Either he leaves or he gets fired, you know? So it's interesting. I don't doubt that Coach O is on the hot seat after this year for sure.
Right.
It's an interesting thing to keep your eye on, especially with Dabo. I don't think Dabo's going anywhere. I think he's a little bit probably more entrenched than those other guys were. But yeah, it's something interesting to think about when these generational quarterbacks come along, like the Trevor Lawrences. They tend to leave a wake behind.
Speaking of leaving a wake behind you, let's you go ahead and read this one for me, Keith. Appreciate the super chat, Eli.
Was walking by Florida campus last week, and Miss Mullen had a kissing booth. I paid $2, got $150 back in exchange, and next week, yeah, that's another guy, right? I mean, is this guy really going to last? I mean, he's just a walking meme machine out there.
Yeah, So like I said, and I brought this up to numerous Florida fans. I was like, you know, you got Jim McElwain, which I thought was a really good coach for Florida. I feel like he was doing a good job with the program. He won the division 2 years in a row. Third year in a row, he went like 8-5, and they fired him. And I was like, wow, that's not a smart idea. And then we get Dan Mullen. He comes in, he flounders a couple of years, finally gets his feet under him, gets a generational quarterback, gets a generational tight end, and a couple of really good wide receivers, and can't get out of Atlanta. So I don't know. I know Florida has high standards down there, at least the athletic department tries to.
You have last year, and everybody was talking about how good the year was, and they ended up with 3 or 4 losses, didn't they not? I mean,
4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's 4 loss. It's a 4-loss team, you know.
And I mean, with that much talent, that's pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. Let's see here. Oh, Alabama versus Texas A&M.
Drubbing.
Oh, this is going to be like Alabama playing Texas Central High.
Hey, I wonder how Texas A&M feels about that $9.5 million a year they're paying Jimbo Fisher now.
I bet you they're loving that. Let me just go ahead and write you that check. This and looking at Texas A&M right now compared to what we thought they were. Let me go ahead and say, wow, what a disappointment, right?
I mean, I know they lost their starting quarterback and, you know, things like that, but I mean,
so
again, join the crowd.
So did Georgia, right?
Yeah, I mean, join the club, bro.
Georgia is down about half of a football team worth of 5 stars.
Yeah, we haven't even put a healthy team on the field yet this year.
Right. So
mhm.
you lose to Arkansas, which was a pretty good Arkansas team, but then somehow you managed to lose to Mississippi State, which I can't be the only one who laughed at the end of that game. What a disaster that was. Started out looked really good against Kent.
Paying him. I like that one. I'm still in that, bro. I'm still in that one. Dude,
Texas A&M.
I
like
remember
that.
being on this show the day, I think it was the day that extension was announced. And I was like, what are they doing? Like, it was already ridiculous. They were paying him $7.5 million a year. Because, I mean, he's going to play second fiddle to Saban as long as Saban's there,
Yeah. Well, I'm going to leave that up for a minute just because I like it. Texas A&M. That is awesome, dude. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go and look at the rest of their season real quick. And I'm going to categorize everything of they lost to Mississippi State, right? Lost to Mississippi State. You're going to lose to Alabama. So you're going to be, when you walk away out of Alabama on this Saturday at 8 p.m., 11 p.m., whatever time the game's over, you're going to be 3-3 on the season. Missouri might beat you. So you'd be 3-4. South Carolina might beat you 3-5. Let's say you split those and you win one. So you're 4-4. You play Auburn, you're going to lose that game. You play Ole Miss, you're going to lose that game. You're going to play PV, you should win that game. You're going to play LSU, you might win that game. You guys may not even make a bowl this year whenever everybody in the top 5, which I don't know why everybody had you ranked in the top 5 because they lost Kellen Mond, and that was the real staple of your offense. By the way, Kellen Mond, if he'd have been in any other school, would have done much better.
Is that true? Jimbo took A&M to their best season since 1930. I mean, did he do better than when Manziel was there?
I don't think so.
I mean, I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but they had some pretty special seasons when he was there. But maybe you're right. I don't.
Let me see. Looking at Johnny Manziel. He had a 2012 season. Let's see. This is in 2012 season. They had a victory. Ready for this? Manziel was launched in the national scene after he led Texas A&M to a 29-24 victory over number 1 Alabama in Tuscaloosa. There's not many people that can claim that. I mean, and then the game against number 1 Alabama, he threw for a school record of 464 yards and 5 touchdowns, and they still lost. So, I mean, that was pretty solid years, 12 and 13.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so. I mean, I don't, I mean, that's just a lot of money to pay a coach that, I mean, if you even look at what he did at Florida State, I mean, if you take Jameis Winston away from Florida State, is Jimbo Fisher worth the money that Texas A&M is he the coach they think they got?
So as the head coach,
take Jameis Winston out.
Yeah. Well, here's as a head coach at Texas A&M, he's 29-12 right now. That's not that good.
I mean, it's okay, but not for like, what is he the highest paid or second highest paid coach in all of college football? Something like that.
I want to say I know he's in the top 5.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I thought when Texas A&M hired him, it was a great hire, but not at that money. It's crazy.
Yeah, like his last year at Florida State, he was 5-6. He has yet to have a 10-win season at Texas A&M, and this is his 4th year. So all of these guys should be guys he's recruited, or are super seniors. So last season he was 9-1. Year before that, 8-5. Year before that, 9-4. Back when he was averaging, 10, 11 wins a game at Florida State. So I don't know. I think he's paid. I think he's overpaid. It's pretty clear that the SEC is way different than the ACC. So,
I mean, like I said from the very beginning, I'm not a Jimbo hater by any stretch of the imagination. I just think that to pay somebody that amount of money, I don't know. There wasn't. I don't think there was. It wasn't like he was bringing. It was almost like they thought he was going to bring this massive, like, recruiting bonus, which I know they did get a little bump, but I mean, again, outside of Jameis, I mean, they weren't that. He didn't do that great for Florida State.
No, I would say
they won games, but I mean, when Jameis
he's another one of those coaches who got he was another one of those coaches that got a lot of credit for what the player was doing rather than the coaching he was doing.
I mean, those teams that he coached at Florida State had some hellacious talent on them.
Yeah. So I've got the article somewhere. I posted it on Twitter a while back, where if you look at the three coaches that have 50+ wins across the last 3 seasons who've had a college football playoff win, if you look at the coaches that's had 50+ wins that have had a playoff win and like 2 or 3 other things that's like really hard to do, a division championship, a playoff win, and 50+ wins in the past 3 seasons. There's only 3 coaches that did it. Now Saban, Dabo, and Kirby. So I'm okay with UGA paying Kirby Smart whatever they want to pay him. I don't think other than Nick Saban, there currently is not a coach in college football that is more consistent than Kirby Smart. Because you can't even say that about Dabo. This season is going to be a train wreck for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's all ebbs and flows in college football, and I think Clemson just, I mean, they're unfortunately their talent lined up for them to lose all those guys in the same year, and I mean, you can recruit as much as you can, and you hope that the pieces just kind of fall in where they can or where they should, kind of like Alabama's done, but Alabama is an anomaly. That's not a schematic for college football. I mean, Alabama has just been an anomaly, and I don't even think I think if you were able to play the universe over again, I don't think Alabama falls into what they've done. I think they're a perpetual thing that is benefited from a lot of things just falling perfectly for them. Don't get me wrong. I think Nick Saban is a fantastic coach, and I think he's added to it. But college football is cyclical, and hopefully we're witnessing part of that cycle now. It's kind of ebbing towards Georgia's way, and so I mean, I think Dabo is on the losing end of that. Losing all that talent they lost, it's just tough. That's tough to replace. I mean, generational talent at quarterback, generational talent at running back, and then receivers to the receivers to the NFL. I mean, and not to mention the defensive guys. I mean, it's hard to consistently come in and replace that.
Which and if you look at when the season started, there was a lot of people that were giving us a lot of grief on the channel about us saying that I thought Clemson was going to struggle. And that's exactly what they've done. And I said, I was like, you guys have a prime example, like not even a couple seasons ago. Here you are, you've got LSU who loses the best quarterback we've seen in forever. They lose an outstanding running back. They lose the outstanding wide receivers. When you lose that much of your offense, things get hard. And that's exactly what happened to Clemson. They lost a vast majority of their offense, and not to mention some guys on defense. And it's a culmination.
Yeah.
And that's why they say it's a rebuild year.
Yeah. And I think that, they had put a lot of eggs in Uyagale's basket, and that kind of did not come to fruition.
But he threw for 400 yards against Boston College last year, man.
Yeah, but he also had all those guys that they lost. I mean, he was also handing the ball off to ETN. I mean, and I hear people say that Georgia broke Uyagale, or and maybe that's true. We have no way of knowing.
It's just fun to say.
I don't think I think it's a combination, right? I think it's some humble pie that
Mhm.
he and all of Clemson ate that day when we played them. It was a close game. I mean, I'm not saying that we didn't go in there and beat the hell out of them or anything, but we did on the defensive side of the ball, and I don't think they were ready for that. And
No.
I'm glad we did, because had we not, we would have lost that game.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, had we not gone in there and played as well as we did on defense, which is better than I think anybody could have imagined, then
Yeah, well, Georgia's
would have
defense
lost
this
the
year
game.
Georgia's defense this year is better than we've ever thought it could be. And I will say this defense reminds me of the Alabama defenses of yore, if that makes sense. We used to see Alabama defenses that would hold people to 10 points.
Yeah.
If you look at their seasons, like if you go back, I think I want to say it was like 15 or 16. I'm going to pull it up right now. Yeah. So here's the numbers from their 2015 season. I'm going to go through the games they've played, and I'm just going to tell you what the defense scored. 17, 10, 0, 10, 14, 23, 14, 16, 6, 6, 13, 15, 0. And then Clemson did score 40 points in the national championship, and Ole Miss beat them week 3, and Ole Miss scored 43 points in that game.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, you look at that defense. That defense is insane.
Yeah, I got to point out that Calvino there saying Dabo not being progressive enough. I agree. Like, using the portal, I think, is huge right now. I mean, you look at Kirby; he's doing very well. I mean, you look at all the teams. All the teams that are doing well in the standings have really taken advantage of the portal. That is, that's an angle that I'm sure these coaches saw coming, but it is proving to be a difference maker for sure for a lot of teams.
If I'm gonna die on a hill, it ain't gonna be that one. Why would I intentionally avoid an opportunity to put 5-star players in an elite program? That's just ridiculous. I mean, it's almost like you're telling your players that if you're not allowed to make a mistake, right? So if you look at let's look at Justin Fields, right? Justin Fields picks Georgia. Don't know why he picked Georgia. Georgia didn't do him right. But then Justin Fields goes, you know what? They're not going to play me. They don't have my play style. I'm going to change. I'm going to go to Ohio, and I'm going to ball out. I'm going to set records. Well, if Dabo Swinney was the coach at Ohio, that never would have happened. So the team as a whole benefited. You think those players in that Ohio State locker room really care whether or not that you come to Ohio State just because you love the bells and whistles of Ohio State? No. They want to win. They want to go pro. They want to enjoy their football games. They want to have fun. You know what's fun? Winning. Winning's fun. Give me the best guys in there you can play. I'll tell you right now, you can put me on the Georgia defense, and when we win that football game, I may not have touched another person that didn't wear a Georgia jersey, and I'm still going to walk around like I'm the Kobe Dean. Just ridiculous, man. But hey, I'm all for Dabo being that way. Please be that way. Continue to be that way.
Yeah. I mean, you look at some of the teams out there. I mean, just look at the guys that have transferred from Georgia to go to other teams and make an immediate difference. You got Demetrius Robertson at Auburn. You got Brenton Cox at Florida. Jermaine Johnson at Florida State. Cade Mays at Tennessee. You got Tyreek Stevenson at Miami. I mean, these other teams are. Yeah, I mean, and Georgia's benefiting from it too. I mean, you look at the kid they got from Clemson. I mean, it is. In today's game, you got to be on top of that.
You know what the best way to shut down a 5-star player on the other team is? Put him on your roster.
Yeah.
And so if you've got a 5-star player or a 4-star player who's an excellent player like Tyke Smith or Kerryon Dixon, why would you not take them? If for no other reason than you won't have to play against them. If for no other reason than that. If you told me tomorrow that I could go back to the Alabama-Georgia game of the national championship and we would have recruited Tua Tagovailoa to come play at Georgia from the transfer portal, and we only had to play one of their quarterbacks, would I have done it? Duh. So I think it's a very small-minded way of going about coaching an elite football team. Georgia would take top 5 talent. I guarantee you Nick Saban would in a heartbeat. There's no reason why Clemson wouldn't or shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're basically saying that you're expecting a 17-year-old kid who makes his commitment to a college to know exactly which campus he loves the most for the rest of his life.
I mean, I've always said that. I mean, who cares? It's college football. Let the kids play. Let them play. I mean, I know you don't want to get into this whole, if left unchecked, it could run amok. I get it, but at the end of the day, it needs to err towards the player and not the program, in my opinion.
Well, and I completely agree with that. We're fixing to get off here in a minute, Brandon. I'm sorry. We'll get you on next time, but here's my way of looking at it. If the NCAA has finally gotten to the point where they will allow these players to do name and licensing agreements to benefit the players, why would you not let them transfer to benefit the players?
Yeah, I mean, you see the NCAA has done that. I mean, it seems to be starting to give these players what they've wanted and what the program or what college football is needed, or college sports in general is needed, and that is to be in the corner of the student athlete.
Yeah. And that's the way it should be. They should be an advocate for the players. The one thing I'm really happy to see, and that I haven't seen until here recently, is that when a player wants to transfer, Kirby Smart will allow a player to transfer even in conference in the same division. Like he let Brenton Cox go to Florida. He let Cade Mays go back to Tennessee. And he could have put his foot down and said, no, we're not doing that. But he didn't. So to me, that kind of shows you so the mindset of the program. One more thing real quick, and then we'll cover something else. And then we're going to jump off. I will say hats off to Auburn. Auburn did set aside 13 seats for those soldiers those fallen soldiers from Afghanistan. So I hats off to you guys. Want to beat the crap out of y'all on the field, but that shows a lot of class. Very, 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 very grateful for that. Those of you who don't know who have ever been to the UGA at Dooley Field, on the west end zone, where the school board is, on the home side, there is one chair there all by itself that sits empty for POW and MIA soldiers. So
do that at Truist Park as well. Braves do that at Truist Park.
So hats off to you guys over there at Auburn for doing that. Got a lot of respect for you guys for that. Still gonna kick your teeth in, but I respect you doing it. You got anything else you want to cover, Keith?
No, that's it. I did want to touch on one thing. We were talking about the NIL and the transfer portal. I do hope that the NCAA puts someone in charge of the NIL stuff. I would like for that to be governed somehow. I don't know really how to explain what I'm saying, but I feel like there needs to be. I feel like it needs to be kind of kept in check a little bit, somebody that's kind of keeping up with what's going on, and because there is some improprieties that can happen with that if you're not careful. Promising, if you come to Oregon, you'll get a Nike deal or something, along those lines. So I mean, I think there needs to be some type of commissioner or somebody in charge from the NCAA that has a little bit of oversight on that. But yeah, I'm all for siding with the kids, man. That's what it should be about for sure.
I agree with you there. I can also see how, let's just say, strange things have happened over the years that make me question people's integrity sometimes. I would hate to see it where a player who was in a difficult financial situation would be offered enough money or an NIL deal, not necessarily by a national brand, but by somebody local, to, let's just say, fake an injury or something along those lines, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that that would ever happen. I'm just saying I've seen enough in life that I can
Yeah.
see some kid being approached like that, and it puts him in a difficult position. So I think that needs to be governed to an effect to protect the players as much as anything else.
But I'm all for, letting these guys, do what they need to do. I remember, I'll never forget the story, the story I read. It's probably about 5 or 6 years ago now about the soccer player that was deemed ineligible to play college soccer because he had a YouTube channel where he was showing, like, he had like a tutorial kind of YouTube channel where he was benefiting from it. He was being, he was monetized. He had a following
Right.
on YouTube. He was showing drills and stuff, and he was deemed ineligible to be a student athlete because he was a paid professional, and therefore he was not eligible to play college soccer because he was getting paid by YouTube to make soccer videos. And that is absolutely ridiculous.
Especially,
and ever since that moment, I've been in favor of getting out of the way.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's the primary reason why they wouldn't let me start at Georgia. So, my YouTube channel got in the way.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, that's all I have for you tonight. Can you stick around here a minute? And really appreciate all you guys here in the chat. Hit the thumbs up. I want to do a shout out here real quick to everybody who hung around for the rest of the show. You guys are the real champions. David Barrett. David Barrett. Got you, sir. Appreciate you being here. I think he's a Ohio State fan. What's up to Neil? Stay away from here. That's a great name. The Biscuit. That's one of the best names. Rhino 26, Texas Rocks. Jacob. Matty Sims. How you doing, sir? Who else is in here? Get it in quick, guys. Derek Stevens. The Sippies Sports Show. What's up, sir? So I'm not sure if this is Y or Yeet, because the next one is yo. So yeah. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time. More videos coming out this week. Follow me on Twitter. Just look up UGA Big Dog Brett. You'll find me. You can also find Keith at CKeithC. Really easy to find. Also, his wife puts out great content all the time. Go check her out. Plenty of stuff going on. Follow you guys real soon. What's up, Trenches? Keith Shelley. We'll see you guys soon. Have a great day. God bless. Go Dogs.